Welcome everyone to the CFA Local Pension Board. Can I have a nomination for chairman, please? You may have to nominate yourself, Mr. Licorice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apologies, with circumstances.
I'll be happy to nominate Councillor Licorice.
Lovely, thank you.
Thanks, Graham. And Mark will second that.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a thumbs up, Mark.
Thank you. So over to you, Mr. Licorice.
Thanks, Gemma. Item 2 then. Any apologies received, Gemma, at all?
Not received any, no.
Thank you. Item 3 then. Minutes of the last board meeting on the 12th of February. Anybody got any comments, or can we approve those minutes, please?
I'm happy to say, Councillor Licorice, I'm happy with those.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any conflicts of declarations of interest?
No.
No.
Thank you. Item 5 then, the scheme administrators update, please. Is that to Ian?
It is. Thank you, Chair. Morning, everybody. Can you hear me all right? I hope you can.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. This is the update from April to June. Basically, I won't go through every step, but I'll tell you the key points. And then obviously, if there's any questions, please feel free. Annual benefit statements were produced by the statutory deadline, and we're working through the annual allowance taxation statements. 27 cases have been identified, and I think majority of those are now complete. There are a few still outstanding, which we're working through this week. Completion of the deadline of those is the 6th of October, and there's no reason why they won't be completed in time. Valuation is progressing, and we still intend to complete that before the handover to West Yorkshire, and that's progressing currently. There's been no regulation changes or risks or breaches. GMP notification and reconciliation remains as was, 5 cases. Update on the Sergeant case. We're still waiting for further guidance, as you all know, at national level. These statements were produced this year without projecting ahead because of the outstanding changes to Sergeant. Termination of the administration, that's still progressing positively. We're working well with West Yorkshire. The first data cut has gone across. We're now liaising with them almost on a daily basis on general questions. That's progressing positively, and there's no indication at this stage why the deadline of 31st of December won't be met. Everything's progressing positively in that area. And then there's the key performance indicators, of which they're all at 100% in the quarter, April to June. Is there any questions at all from anybody?
Thanks, Ian. I don't know whether anybody's got any questions to Ian on the. We're just asked to update at this stage. Welcome to Callum, by the way, and to Ray, have just joined us. Okay, we'll press on.
Thank you, Chair.
Item 6 is the scheme manager's update. That's Alison's, I think. 13 to 20 pages.
It is, thank you, Chair. I thought it would be helpful to focus my update on the one pressing subject area, which Ian has mentioned already, and this is the move from County Council being our pension scheme administrator to West Yorkshire. So just for members of the board's information, I have used the services of a senior project manager within my division at the City Council, who is used to working on, particularly on system changes where we're changing provider and systems. So the report was drafted by Jonathan Lau, who is my project manager, who is working with Ian and obviously on behalf of Leicestershire and with Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire. So he's a key stakeholder. And John's area of expertise obviously is project management. So I'm sure what you can see in front of you is a well-structured report that gives the board the assurance that everything is working well, and thank you to Ian for also confirming that. The report sets out the work breakdown structure, so you can see in true project management terms, it sets out all the requirements for planning, executing, monitoring and closing the project. The work breakdown structure, so again sets out where we are, and you'll see that one of the items is called FRS leads, because obviously each service will have its own nuances, but largely the scheme is the scheme, and the administration we want to keep as consistent across the three authorities as possible, for reasons that I'll touch on in a moment. And at the moment everything is going very well, and again thank you to all the parties that are on the project, including the county, Ian and his team, who are have been incredibly helpful in getting us to where we are and ensuring that the transition is as seamless as possible. The report itself also includes its own risk register. I think it's important that projects such as this identify the risks. Obviously, on there is the pandemic. Where we are now is everyone is working from home very ably. And that's not caused us any particular issues. The two high risks that have been identified as part of the project is pressure on staff resource, and I think that would apply to any major project of this nature. And the second risk, which is about differences in data. And any system to system transition involves data migration, and that is a key part of the project to make sure that when we're doing parallel runs, that we can identify any issues with data migration, but that is currently green in terms of the work breakdown structure. So that's where I am on the scheme manager's update, focusing on the administration of firefighter pensions. Before I just mention one other item, has anyone got any questions on that?
Any questions to Alison, anybody?
Good, thank you. I don't know whether Ian, do you feel that's a fair reflection of where we are with the project?
I do, Alison, thank you. Yes, I'd say it's a very fair reflection of where it's at. The only item that seems to have caused, I wouldn't say a problem, but an additional element of work is the way I describe it, is where there are currently open tasks. So, for example, if the way the system we use is task driven. So, for as an example, if somebody was retiring, that member would have an open task in the pensions admin system with us, showing where it's at. The tasks don't migrate across to the new system. The West Yorkshire system doesn't use the workflow task process that we use. So we're working on extracting that into a format or in a way that they can set up tasks in their own system. But really that, to be honest, in terms of the actual data is a minor point really, but it's just a point to note. That's all I would say. It's not a concern, it's just a point to note. But in terms of the majority of the data, which is all the personal data, the payroll data and everything like that, that's gone across in the first cut. So yes, I would say that's a very fair reflection, Alison. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. So the only other thing to add from me as well is the comms plan. So what's not on there is obviously it's item 3.5 on the work breakdown, communications and engagement. So obviously what we will be doing. It's a bit early days. I think it's not helpful for firefighters to be told months and months before that if you have you want any contact regarding your pension to contact a different provider. I think actually giving notice, but not too much notice, Otherwise, West Yorkshire may get calls for a service they're not yet fully providing. So we will bring the comms plan to the next pension board.
Yeah.
So the only other item I just wanted to mention, and Ian again touched on this, is about the pension scheme transitional protections issue. And just really to make board members aware that, and I'm sure you know, that it's not the intention for most fire authorities to defend individual claims. What we are doing, and it's quite normal, is collectively signing up to legal support through the LGA, which we have done. So just to advise the board that we have signed the agreement with the LGA to defend any such claims, and the LGA have appointed Bevan Britton as the legal firm that will be acting on the behalf of the LGA and therefore on behalf of FRAs. But I haven't. That's the latest update I've had from the LGA. And my final request really would be for employee reps, if they're for the next pension board, I'd really welcome if there are any particular areas relating to pensions, apart from your own, of course. If there are any particular areas that you would like me to focus on in terms of an update, it's one of those issues where I get bulletins, information, both from national bodies and through Ian and his team, as does Ian. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult for me to, which ones would you want to know about, rather than just telling you about every single email that says something has changed or this has happened. Or so it would be really helpful for Graham and Mark probably to perhaps we have a discussion in good time before the next board. I'd really welcome picking up from your members and from colleagues issues that they would like to see, because actually putting it in a document and then it's easy for you to share amongst your members and your colleagues. So that's my request to you.
Thank you. Can I just respond, Bill? Is that okay? So happy to have that conversation, Alison. We are probably got a couple of questions in our section in today's agenda that you may be able to answer straight away, or come back to,
or may not.
May not come
Yeah.
back to future meetings. So
yeah,
thanks for that.
lovely.
Thank you very much. That's we're asked to read the report, obviously, and note it. Thanks very much. If nobody's got any more questions, we'll move on to item 7, and that's the Firefighters Pension Scheme risk register. I think this was touched on a bit this morning by Ms. R's, Gavin Barker, wasn't it? But it's you again, Alison.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So section 8 of the report is really the bit I'd like to draw to your attention, which is where to try and make it straightforward for you, is where we've changed the risk register. So risk 11 and risk 6 on the previous risk register I've merged, and this is the ongoing issue about the very nuanced nature of firefighters' pensions. It is a very particular area of expertise, and as members of the board will know, that there is a particular expert in Nottinghamshire and a particular expert in Derbyshire who we have used in the past. They've delivered some of the road shows for us, for firefighters to attend. We are administratively a small fire authority, so I think, being totally honest, it would be very difficult for us to recruit our own pensions expert, and it takes years of knowledge. You have to live and breathe the firefighters' pension scheme to really understand it. Very helpfully, whilst we have this informal arrangement with Notts and Derbyshire, the Chief and I, and Callum might want to touch on this, actually I've had a formal approach from Derbyshire around formalising the arrangement, which I'm very keen to do, to actually share a pensions expert across the 3 authorities, which I think is an absolute excellent idea. It gives me the comfort that I would need, because I am not a firefighters pension scheme expert, and it would, I think, give the board the comfort it needs that we can deal with all the issues that come around from the various schemes, certainly some of the legal challenges, advice and support to our workforce and to our senior management team, because as you'll know, pension issues can have significant impacts on the workforce in terms of retirement age and succession planning. So I don't know if you want to mention anything else, Callum, about that.
It's only briefly, actually, just as an update, and it's come in this morning, so I don't know if you'd have seen it yet, Alison. We've actually got a meeting in on this Friday the 13th of November, which isn't the best date in the world to pick, but to discuss around formalising those relationships and looking to get a contract in place and what the recruitment selection process, etc., would look like. So it's progressing quite nicely. I share Alison's wants for that post, if I'm brutally honest, and I think there's quite a bit of training that be done across the organisation as well to help all of us respond to pension queries or claims a little bit more effectively and efficiently, and hopefully take some of the pressure out of it for the individuals concerned as well.
It's also quite important as well moving to an administrator, because I'm sure we all know that Ian and his team go above and beyond the call in advising and supporting the board. And that's absolutely been, I can't say how much that's been important to me, but clearly we're moving into a new contractual arrangement. It's convenient. Ian, is at the county, he's close, he's been able to be physically present. With a new administrator, that flex won't be there as much. So that is a really important issue. So I've merged the two risks, but obviously give you the assurance we're addressing that. The other change on there as well is around the pension modeller and the annual benefits statements. Events have overtaken us with the move to West Yorkshire, so I've removed those risks.
Okay, thanks, Alison. For us to particularly look at Appendix 1 and approve the register.
I think Graham's got a question, Chair.
Oh, sorry. Graham.
Thank you. Yeah, my question's just around risk number 6. I welcome the news that we're going towards a tri-service advisor. Will that be accompanied with some training for our in-house administrators of various aspects of the pension regulations? I think Callum, we've discussed this already, that there's a lack of understanding of how to process some of these regulations, but I just noticed it's not mentioned in there, but I think it ought to be noted that perhaps that should include it.
Yeah, I think, Graham, absolutely. One of the reasons why knocking at an open door with a tri-service specialist is because I think all three of us as scheme managers feel somewhat vulnerable. Not just in terms of regulations and understanding, a very complex area of finance, but it's, the more junior staff across the organisation, both within HR and finance that administer payroll and whatever, to understand, to make sure we've got the right processes in place. What we don't want is an individual member of staff asks a question or has a change of circumstance and we don't properly, quickly and appropriately act on that. So absolutely, I think training for our own staff on doing things properly and the option for support to the workforce. We can't, as you know, it's a very fine line about advising on pensions, but actually informing on pensions is very important.
Okay, so we're happy to take that on as an amendment, really.
Yes, thank you.
This register. Thank you very much. Any other comments, anybody? If not, we'll note report then, and thank you very much, Alison, for that. Item 8. Firefighters pension scheme breaches. Well, there haven't been any. So.
No, very quick report, Chair. There haven't been any. It's the sort of report I like the best. It's my infamous nothing to add, Chair.
Okay. And thanks for the additional information on the. Yes, Callum.
Sorry, this is more my naivety rather than anything else. I take it that's breaches to do with the scheme rather than individual tax breaches of lifetime and annual allowances.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we'll come to Graham or Mark's inputs now, if they've got any.
Yeah, thank you. So clearly, as you'd likely expect, this is all in relation to the discrimination ruling. On the 21st of August, I think the Home Office issued informal guidance on what they call immediate detriment cases. Those that are due to retire imminently and have been moved from transition onto a 2015 pension scheme. So my question is, are we acting on any of this guidance currently in relation to both those that have gone on ill health retirement and those that are likely to retire in the interim period between now and the final ruling and legislative changes that are required in the future? So that's sort of the first sort of question, and whoever may be able to in a position to answer that. Secondly, if somebody asks for a pension forecast with the intention to retire at the moment, are we basing their sort of forecast on this interim guidance, or are we at risk of giving someone inaccurate information that may choose to retire based on the McLeod Sargent ruling?
Alison, who's can you answer?
I was going to ask Ian if you can answer the last point first, I think.
Okay.
On forecasts, because I forecasts will come through Ian's team, and actually I don't know what basis they're doing it on, Ian.
Eleanor,
Ian, over to you.
I'm going to have to ask my colleague Eleanor to answer this, because Eleanor attended a national update on this. I think it was last week, so I don't know what the position is since then. So Eleanor, could you come in on that one, please?
Thanks, Eleanor.
I think it's still undecided, actually, as to what they're going to do for the annual benefit statements, because there's potentially two options with the McLeod Sargent ruling. Is that members may get a choice. It may be that they apply it straight away, or it may be that it's a deferred option, so the member chooses when they come to retire as to whether they wanted to remain in the old scheme or to move to the new scheme. So it's with the LGA at the moment.
Okay.
And on the first point, Graham, is interestingly, this, as the chair pointed out, this was just mentioned by our external auditors, because one of the issues is what the government actuary department is going to do about it. So as far as the advice I've seen so far through the LGA is, I think, using Eleanor's word, we're in limbo at the moment about what's being done about the decision. Certainly, the statement of accounts is supposed to be accurately reflect pension strain and the pension's impact, and it's at the moment been produced on the best information available. So the answer is, yeah, we're up in the air, and I don't know. I think what I will commit to do to you is, if anything is more clear between now and the next pension board, is that I write to you. I'm wary of putting too much information that says I don't know onto the intranet for firefighters. I don't think that's helpful. So I don't think I can say any more than that, really. Certainly the defence of claims and actually how they're going to proceed was only all signed up to at the beginning of September. So I think, yeah, the answer is we're in a limbo, and I think you're quite right that individuals could potentially make a decision about retirement based on information before the ruling.
I think just to add that as well,
an unhelpful answer, really, but.
I think just to add to that as well, Graham, your wording was quite apt there, that they've issued informal guidance, and it's not been helpful, if I'm honest. We received the informal guidance at the same time as everyone else, and it has never got, I don't believe it's got any legal standing or backing to support the guidance that they've said, which makes certainly the pension administrators really quite almost to the point where they may have to disregard the guidance until there's some legal standing to support it or to actually enact it. And I know that's not a helpful answer, but it's the position we find ourselves in.
Yeah, thanks for both of those replies. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of the interim guidance in the first instance, and then clearly it is informal guidance, and it came out from the Home Office without having been seen by the LGA, which wasn't helpful. However, it is clearly a step for those that are, and it does cover just those that are immediate detriment cases that are making serious decisions about their future based on what we're expecting as an outcome. So I don't expect an answer now, but my question would be, is there any way of taking advice locally to see whether we are able to act on that? Part of the guidance includes the individuals signing a waiver, so that any future ruling would actually mean amendments to those calculations that have been made, such as tax implications and interest on contributions. So it just enables members with those queries about their future and retirement to get perhaps a little bit more accurate information.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Graham. As Callum said, I'm always nervous about the word informal, because informal guidance is just that. It's guidance. It's not law or statute. And I would want to seek the monitoring officer's view about a waiver, because one of the issues about signing a waiver saying, I know I'm using informal guidance, if that was to prove a detriment in the future, it was I didn't realise what I was signing, So I think, yeah, you're right. We'll I possibly put this as a separate item on the next board agenda, so we can be really clear on what happens between now and then and the status of informal guidance.
Good idea.
And I'm not sure, probably with Ellen, about how many individuals this could potentially, perhaps we need to think about some workforce information as much as we can. Of course, I don't know what people are thinking of doing, but certainly age groups we do know about. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. You're right with that, Graham?
I could probably give you that list of reasonably foreseeable retirements relatively quickly, Alison, but it's with the caveat of actually it's down to individuals' choice and their individual circumstances. Yeah, absolutely. But it perhaps just to be able to give a high level, it could be in the region of these numbers might be helpful. Yeah, I can do that for about 10 minutes after this meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much. And have you anything, Mark?
Let's just make sure. No, that's fine. We've consulted prior. So,
okay. I guess you have. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. The next meeting then, it's Wednesday the 16th of December by Teams again. So I'm afraid.
Really
not
scary,
afraid. It suits me.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks very much, everybody, for your attendance. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye all.
Thank you.